Every child, woman and man, opinion don't matter, stick to your plan. If they judge, still don't budge, don't give an inch, don't give a nudge. Life a bitch, leave you battered and bent, lose a win, got a hold of your chin. And I put it on Jamie and me, we just gave you inspiration for free, the money never meant much.
¿Qué ondas, primos y primas, and welcome back to my Primos podcast. I know it's been a little bit since our last episode, but thank you for being patient. This week, we actually have a special guest on the show. We're going to be talking with Lalo Alcaraz, and we are going to talk about his career. We're going to talk about where his head's at with the recent, protests going on with Black Lives Matter. We have Primo Walter on the show today as well. He jumped in this one. Todo soleado from his recent trips. But Walter, before we let the listeners listen to the show, what do you think people can get out of this conversation?
Well, get to know a little bit of him. I always kind of mention people, the guy, because I bought some of his stuff last time we met him. And this guy from Coco. That's how I always kind of say. And he's like, oh yeah, really cool. And I kind of explain a little bit about his background. And I was like, okay, cool. But yeah, kind of look into his background and his stuff. He'll talk about it obviously in the episode. But yeah, cool. I'm looking forward to it. So.
All right, guys. Well, stay tuned for the episode and let us know what you think.
Born from the ether, I just appeared out of cloud. A reaper screaming, fuck the world. Drink what's coming out like a reaper. A slap a dying child, he don't pronounce.
We got where you guys are at?
I'm in Dallas, and he's in Austin.
Okay. I'm in Austin. Yeah.
All right. So,
what are you drinking? Topo Chico?
Topo Chico, yeah.
Yeah.
I just found some of the lime ones. There's not a lot of them around here, so I snatched them up.
No, I always have my fridge stocked with that stuff. I got my dad into that, actually.
Topo Chico. Nah, man. I didn't grow up with any of that stuff. Like me, I grew up pretty much like with Sprite being the closest thing to a mineral water. My mom thought it was the healthiest soda or the healthiest fizzy drink.
Because it was white.
Because it was clear. Because it was clear.
Clear.
Hey, it's clear. It'll settle your stomach. Drink a 7-Up or a Sprite. That's all. You're good. That's healthier than a Coke. I don't know. That's what it was. But, well, guys, I'm going to go just dive right in.
All right.
¿Qué ondas, primos y primas, and welcome to my Primos podcast. Today is a special episode. We usually have, our back and forth with me and the Primos, but today we have just been honored. I'll say the word honored because I'm a big fan. I'm pumped up. We're joined today by, what do you say? We got author, host, cartoonist. I mean, Lalo, you have a lot going on, man. You have so many titles going on, and I'm really excited to have Lalo Alcaraz on the show with us today. Say hi.
What's up, primos, primas, and listeners?
Thank you, man. Thank you again for being here. And of course, with me, I got my primo and yours, el primo chicume, Walter with a G. Say what's up, primo.
Heavy G. No, I'm just here. Just got back from West Texas, actually. If you can see my face, look at how red I am. I don't know if you can tell. I just got lighting. Yeah. Huh?
I thought it was the lighting, dude.
No, hell no. It's like I just got like really sunburned because I was out there doing like some testing, and I just got back yesterday, like 11.
I wanted to start, Lalo, real quick. We have a couple people that we know, a couple of mutual friends, a couple other creators that we've had on the show. I have Javier Hernandez, creator of El Muerto. Know him. Also Hector Rodriguez, he does El Peso Hero. Yep. We also had Henry Barajas on here, Tata Rambo. Like, we've had plenty of people on here that are trying to really push representation and really push themselves into the limelight. Like, and they actually, I hit them up earlier today saying, hey, I'm going to have Lalo on the show. Can you guys give me something to toss his way? Just a comment, a question, something. Javier goes, yeah, man. I just tell him it's great seeing him moving forward in the entertainment industry with his work in animation. Hollywood has always been very slow to open up to Latino creatives in large numbers, so it's inspiring that he sticks to his guns and keeps fighting for a place at the table. Awesome. So that's Javier Hernandez for you right there. And to get you gushing a little more, I was told explicitly, he's like, tell him that I quote me on this. This is from Hector. He's like, Lalo is a literary cartoonist Chicano godfather. He has been a great mentor and inspiration for generations of Chicano artists and writers. His work continues to inspire and encourage us to share our stories. So that's a little bit of love tossed your way from your peers.
Yeah. I was about to say, it sucks getting old, getting called the Godfather. But as my friends say, take the compliment.
Take the compliment, man. You know, like,
I mean, I'm sure there's some perks.
Awesome.
I'm sure there's some perks, right?
Hey, man, when you have that much clout.
We get to shop earlier, you know, social distancing.
No, man, that shopping early shit is
Look at
necessary
Target.
now. Yeah, well, Target's burning to the ground. But I want to give you that praise, man, because get that out of the way. Of course, you know, there's a lot of love, you know.
The secret to success is just outliving everyone.
I like that. I like that.
You know, we're Mexican. I'm Chicano. I can't stop working, man. I don't know the meaning of not working. So
you know,
keep working and try to survive.
Yeah, we're Salvadoreños. Our family is from El Salvador. I grew up in LA. But one thing my mom and dad always said, they're like, they never saw retirement in front of them ever. They're like, I'm gonna keep working until I can't anymore. That's
the immigrant ethos, you know.
No, but it's like a multi. It turns into like right now, like my parents moved from LA to here to Austin, so now it's like a multi-generational household, you know.
Yeah.
And I just recently had a daughter, so they're gonna be. I'm like, fuck yeah, mom, you're more than welcome, you know. Like they're gonna be helping with taking care of the baby, you know, which is it's like that's like what am I gonna go pay for $1,400 for some random person? So it's like so then yeah, it's like I don't know. I'm not gonna say we are their 401k, but to a certain extent, you know.
To an extent. I don't know, but if people that don't know who you are, because we have a big mix of people that listen to the show. Some are into the creative side, into comic books and creative, and then some are not, just here for the laughs and whatnot. But we do like to put a focus on, you know, representation. That's been the thing from the beginning for us, avoiding assimilation, right? And I wanted to just mention that because you had to kind of muscle your way through the industry, right? I mean, to get real representation or notice of what you're doing. And I guess I want to just kind of blurt out to the people here, people don't know who you are. Who is Lalo and what do you do and what are you currently doing?
Sure. Well, I started out as a cartoonist. You know, I grew up on the border, U.S.-Mexico border in San Diego and Tijuana. And you know, just growing up in the 70s, watching TV and not seeing anybody that looked like me. But you know, growing up on the border, you watch a lot of. I watched back then all these old American shows. You know, like I know American pop culture from TV, but you know, for a certain period, you'd be watching dubbed over American shows into Spanish, right? And even those at that time, I could feel like, all right. Where's the what kind of shows by the way, if you can? Man, I was just telling somebody about this, like Bonanza. Do you know what Bonanza?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I definitely saw reruns of that stuff. Yeah,
exactly. So back then, you know, we had like 4 channels, and so you know.
Well, we had UHF. Remember, you had to flip it. UHF.
Yeah,
flip it, and I had to have the little channel, the little dial, the big dial. I remember those.
My wife laughs at me because I remember when I was a kid and my mom cleaned houses, and my dad was a landscaper. You know, he worked at a landscape place and a plant nursery.
Okay.
And the people, they still live. They have the house on. It was like a plantation kind of. They lived on the ground of the place. And they're very good to my family.
Yeah.
But, my you know, didn't have childcare, so my mom would bring me to work, and they would plop me down in front of the TV, and the lady of the house babied me, and she would put on like Sesame Street or Electric Company or all these old shows. Okay. And later on I was like, oh my God, what kind of fancy cable was that? Like when I was little, I used to watch cable TV, the first cable TV. No, it was just like public television. You know, like I thought it was rich people will only watch this, but I still wouldn't see people that look like me, and I realized, and drawing runs in my family, so that was a natural extension of just drawing.
By way of who? By way of who did that kind of expose you? Like who was drawing in your family?
Nobody was drawing in my family until a little later. I would go on the summers to Mexico when I was little, and I would hang out with my cousins who were older. They went to college, but they were artists. They were very artistic.
Oh, okay.
And like multi-talented, like they got all the skills, but they became CPAs. They became accountants,
Yeah.
and they became college professors, and because you couldn't make a living as an artist back then in Mexico, and I don't know how easy it is now, but it's not easy here. So
yeah, about to say.
yeah, my cousin was my cousin Cesar he just passed away, and he showed me, like, I was a revelation to see another family member that had little paintings and drawings, and it was really amazing to see that you could actually do that for a living. I got the crazy idea that I could do it for a living, and then eventually, I just was doing comics, telling stories, representing, my friends and family in cartoons, and it just grew, into being pissed off all the time, And,
well, let me ask you before, and let me ask you about. So you're growing up, you're learning about this. You're drawing. I felt it. I don't know if you felt it. Kind of, in my family, I felt, at least at that time when I'm still coming up as a kiddo. I'm into writing. I love writing, and I always felt like, man, no one in this household or no one that I know is a writer. Like, no one that I know is a writer. So who do I turn to for help? Who do I look to for help? Where if I wanted to fix a pipe, my dad's a plumber. If I wanted to fix a faulty electrical, my tío's an electrician. Otro tío's a carpintero. Like, I can find someone to help me figure something when it comes to that kind of labor. But are those cousins and that kind of the ones you were able to turn to when you finally had that like spurt, or what was it?
Well, no, because they were down there, and what I found up here was Chicano artists, and so I found this is corny, but I actually answered a PSA that was in San Diego on TV that said there's this Chicano cultural center called Centro Cultural de la Raza, and it's a famous mural painting center and folklorico dancing, all that. And they had this PSA on TV, and I called in, and it said free art classes, free mural painting.
So it worked.
And I'm down. So I took the bus all the way over there, and I met my mentors there. Other Chicano artists that took me under their wings, and that's how I found because of that artist community was there, and people that believed in spreading it to the community, to the next generations, and that was me, and so I went for it, and I learned a lot.
When you mentioned that you got to a point where you were just kind of like angry, like what I mean, obviously you grew up, in the 70s, you grew up during all that, and it's touching on TV shows. Lalo, you're gonna get this reference, maybe some listeners, but not my cousin. But are you ready, man, for if we already we need a remake of Chico and the Man? I'm ready for a Chico and the Man remake and a reboot and get something going on, man, because I love Chico and the Man. Talk about old 70s shows. Like, Chico and the Man was my show. I love that show. Did you ever get into that?
Totally. I mean,
Freddie Prinze, man.
I watched all those shows, man. I think part of my political consciousness was from, watching these old 70s shows like All in the Family and, Good Times. And these shows were written with politics in mind. It was such a, compared to today, I mean, it's like that cliche of, you almost couldn't make that today. Because they were.
No, but okay. Question on that same topic, because right now you have shows like Blackish and all that. They kind of touch on that in their they Modern Family and all that type of stuff. And what's the other one with there's like a Netflix picked it up.
Oh, One Day at a Time. Well, that moved along.
Yeah, One Day at a Time, and um, obviously it's very apparent. But was it harder to kind of push a certain to kind of push certain context that wasn't just for laughs, that had some kind of like political, for lack of a better word, political statement within it, back then. I don't know.
I mean, there back then, like today, there was plenty of junk TV that just didn't mean anything, but a lot of TV writing was infused with political stuff, and you seen that clip on I saw it on Twitter of remember Little House on the Prairie?
Okay.
And it had Michael Landon is there talking, and there's a little black boy in the class, and they have the most blunt discussion about race that it could have been written yesterday, but it's like, it says the N-word. It's like so amazing that anybody wrote this. First of all, it's probably some Jewish TV writer who was like progressive and wrote this thing, and it's a mind-blowing segment, that you play it today and you go like, they let this on TV? I can't believe it, it's so awesome. But a lot of shows like that.
It's cool, that we can have this conversation right now. You would think like 30 years removed from those type of TV shows. Honestly, I would think now with so many outlets, you have that more freedom, right? But I think there's more in your face now, and there was more of like a intricate kind of weaving it into the storyline back then, no? Like it was more like
I agree. Stuff is, sometimes you watch some of the shows, they're well-meaning and they're clunky, it's just like,
does it feel more because if you did it back then, like Stanley was saying, you had to kind of weave it in and kind of pass it through and see if you snuck it in, I imagine, as opposed to now it's being done more disingenuous because you want to portray a certain. It's like Jenner, the Kardashian girl with the Pepsi can, like it's like more deliberately like, oh yeah, we're look at us, we're progressive or whatever. So it's kind of, does it feel more disingenuous now and much more genuine back then, where people would potentially risk careers, for that type of stuff? If some, Karen from back in the day used to, send a letter like, hey, like I didn't appreciate this, on TV or whatever, right?
Well, it was definitely more of a challenge, I bet, to be able to get something like that in. But, now that I'm been involved in film and TV for a solid 5 years, I respect how difficult it must have been, because there's so many layers of people stopping you from, maybe saying exactly what you want to say now, Although, I work for a super liberal, company, which is Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
So you get both, they're committed to diversity. They want diverse programming. It's the only reason I got a gig there, and they do care. They just sent out a message about the to support Black Lives Matter, and Netflix just sent one out, and there's people that do care, but yeah, I kind of agree. Like, it's easier.
Not that it's not appreciated, right? Not that it's not appreciated, right? What's going on, right? But I wonder if it's not. Does it feel, if it feels not as genuine as in other times, right?
Well,
everybody's got to be on the right side, Like, I think even if they're not 100% genuine, just do it anyway. It's the right thing to do.
Yeah, be right. Be on the right side. Be on the right side. Unpopular, but be on the right side. But touching on your work, and I want to start getting to where you start finding your stride. You got your mentors under you, helping you along, kind of helping you, that support that we've always heard from other artists on the show saying, the this group of artists that I had around me are what propelled me to where I needed to go. You know, they pushed me along, or they called me on my shit, like, hey, that sucks, or like, hey, you know, do this, do that, or kind of were real with you, as opposed to other publications, or I'm guessing, you know, you can tell me, when you went out there pushing your stuff out there, I mean, you probably got a crap load of no's, and without their help, you would have probably given up. I'm guessing, no?
Oh yeah, I mean, I tried you know, different ways. I mean, at most, like I'm an editorial cartoonist, so most or all editorial cartoonists, when they're in college, they were the cartoonists for their school paper, you know. So it wasn't that I had like a big community helping me there, but it was a good environment to test out, you know, like what it felt like to draw for a newspaper, what to have a deadline, to get hate mail almost immediately, you know. And
did that feel good? Did that feel good for like hate mail?
It was weird at first. It was so weird at first, and then it was deeply satisfying, you know. Because
I imagine, yeah, shit.
You create something that gets inside someone's head that pisses them off so bad.
And even more so back then, that somebody had to actually sit down, pen on paper, put a stamp, take it to the fucking mail, drop it in there, and then wait.
I know. Now it's like, even now it's like weird to get an email, hate mail letter. Yeah. It's like nobody now people just post shit on social media.
Yeah. We've gotten a few, not from a political standpoint,
and
quality maybe.
Yeah, they're
never.
Like, no, but like, no, he was happy about it. He's like, ooh, send me. He even said, I need more hate mail, because it was like, because when we talked about the show, and maybe it kind of goes hand in hand with kind of like editorial cartooning, like you said, it's trying to get a conversation started, right? And it's trying to get a rise out of somebody in a way that we can have a conversation. You know, we've always been saying, you know, make noise, because if you're quiet, if you lay back, you get rolled over. You get assimilated. You get shit. You know, this is a problem, right? And you've mentioned, and I've read some of your stuff before, where you're like, man, instead of blowing up on the street or blowing up in your head, you blow up on the page. You know, like, when did you make that decision? Like, hey, this is my voice. This is how I'm gonna get it on here. Like, was there a turning point that said, "Nay, fuck it, this is my voice now, and this is what I'm going with"?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when that moment was. I mean, when I was growing up, I witnessed how badly my parents were treated as immigrants, you know, and even, you know, especially even growing up in San Diego, it was very conservative at the time, very white, and just, you know, very negative to be, you know, Mexican or anything other than white. You know, the mascot of San Diego was Don Diego, you know, the Spanish caballero or some bullshit. And it was like, or the Californio, you know, Spanish dude. And it's like, you know,
a slap in the face, you know.
You're 10 minutes from the fucking border, man. You're from fucking, you know, tacos in Tijuana, you know, like, come on. So that really, and then to see the way that, you know, my parents as working people, the way that the people took advantage of them, treated them like shit, that pissed me off. I'm still pissed, you know, but I realize, I mean, you can't walk around with that all the time. You have to get it out of you, or else you're gonna, you know, do something really stupid. You know?
No, yeah, you're right. Because even in I remember in college, I was always like, every time there was like a party or I was the drunk. When I would get drunk, I was the one that would end up talking about politics and like, no, shut up, Walter. You're being too negative. White people ain't out to get you. And I'm like, how do you blah 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 blah. And it's like a couple of years later, they're like, yeah,
you were right.
They're out to get you. It's like, but yeah, but it is true. Like, that's why I appreciate what you like I said, I'm a recent consumer of your stuff, and every time you put stuff out, I'm like, shit, man, like, that's pretty fucking clever. And it's like, I don't know, you don't feel out, like, in today's environment, you don't feel alone in terms of whatever like bullshit you notice, you know, like these hypocrisies that are within society. Like, you know, we want you, but I don't want your pupusas. I want your pupusas, but I don't want you. I want your food, but I don't want you. Like, you go to small towns, the food isn't as spicy, you know, and they get mad because you're talking Spanish, you know, like here in Texas at least, there's like little towns that are called refugio, you know, and you say refugio the in the Spanish way, right? Because it's not even a native language to this continent, right? And you say refugio, and they correct you and they say like, no, it's called refugio. Like motherfuckers, make up your mind.
Or
you know, it's all come from Latin, you know.
Yeah,
but yeah, I get that. I appreciate that energy, you know, like that Zach de la Rocha type, you know, anger, you know, like from Rage Against the Machine, like, you know. But anyways, I like your shit pretty much.
No,
That's what I'm saying.
To move it along, you know, to more of it, like you mentioned earlier, you've been working in television, you know, you've done consulting on films, TV, animated shows, things like that.
Coco, I always say, oh yeah, the guy from Coco.
yeah.
Look, I got a poster right here because I was on the Today Show a few weeks ago, so I dressed up my office with posters. And I don't have walls; I have a bunch of windows, so I just put shit all over.
Hey, no, man, let's give it. Let me ask you something about that movie.
Yeah,
right?
man.
Let me ask you something.
It made a lot of people cry, man. It made a lot of people cry. So.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah,
let me ask you this, Walter. Lalo, you may know this because of course you were involved in the film. But check this, right? When this movie first came out in theaters, we were pumped. I was so fucking excited. You know, my kid, at the time he was like 7 or 8, right? And he never had any real representation, right? In a Pixar movie, a Disney movie, he's like, oh wow, like I'm excited, right? And I played it up, and I'm a fan. Oh, I'm ready. And so we go there, and they start the movie. It's a 35-minute cartoon of white people stealing every other culture because they don't have their own. Did you know this, Walter?
No, like
so it's a Frozen cartoon. All right, it's like a fucking 30-minute cartoon. Me and my wife, we have a little boy. We don't have any daughters.
Like Frozen. The other.
Look, don't pay Lalo. If I'm wrong, dude, hang up the call. But it's literally the fucking Frozen cast, and they're like, man. You're about to. I'm almost like I'm hyperbole, of course, but they're like, man, we don't really have any real of our own culture. Let's go knock on everybody's door from every other part of the world and take a little bit of all their cultures to build our own culture, our own Christmas, our own whatever. Before you watch a movie dedicated to this very beautiful, illustrious, colorful culture that you're gonna make you fall in love with it. Lalo, am I lying at all? Am I making this up?
That was, I think, a big misstep that Disney did. I think what happened was, let me see if I can do it without violating my non-disclosure agreement and not get sued. But
we can edit.
I think Disney had just bought Pixar, right? Hopeful. So I think they were kind of like. The one explanation is they were like, you got to market this thing because we need to market Frozen, right? Because nobody knows about it, right?
Nobody knows Frozen.
But in reality, that I know for a fact that video, whatever that film they showed, was a TV show, a TV special that didn't get aired, so they had it. And they were like, let's show it in front of Coco. Now, the more cynical people, and I see their point of view, were like, oh, we're nervous about this movie Coco. It's too brown. Let's put some Frozen flavor on it in front. So the audience, but people
it's like a Tex-Mex putting a shitload of cheese and crema on the burrito, on the taco. People left, right? People were like, I have a babysitter for 2.5 hours, and I can't stay here and watch this. I got, this is, it was 35 minutes. It felt like 35 minutes, but I think it was it might have been 22 minutes.
It felt like forever. My son looked at me and he said, what is this? And I'm like, I don't know. And like, I sat there like, I know this is supposed to be Coco. I look behind me, and like, there's plenty of brown people in here. Like, okay, I totally forgot. And I'm like, what the hell? But then we watched the movie. Okay, here we go. We're back to normal. But me and my wife and my son remember that, and we're like, one, that made me not ever want to see Frozen. personally, and I still haven't. Okay. Secondly, I was like, the gall, like it's so tone deaf. It was so tone deaf. It felt like it makes sense now if it wasn't meant to be together, but it just was. And that's just so tone deaf, man. But hey, but I mean, you consulted on that.
I'm gonna go look for it. I didn't go to the theater, but I mean, at the same time, it's not like they don't have a culture. It's just that they've sanitized. It feels like they've sanitized it so much that like they're like trying to get dirty back again, like trying to like not necessarily, but I don't know, go get our
like the Frozen. They could have said, this is Norway, and we're gonna go Norwegian all the way.
Yeah,
and
pagan, all that pagan stuff
about Norway. I'd love to learn about it.
Yeah,
dude,
I'm
excited for all that. Look at Thor. Look at all the Norse god stuff. I mean, shit, like that's interesting. Why not? You know?
Like I'm into watching. Like I watch a lot of I don't know, like The Last Kingdom. There's like a bunch of, but it's like a bunch of white people killing each other. What's better than that? Like, I always watch Viking stuff. Because I like that. It's like very mythical, whatever, and it's like
Viking.
The Viking show on the History Channel was dope.
Yeah,
Vikings was awesome. I just got done watching it myself, and it's like, what's better than watching white people kill each other? So, but it's like Stanley said, it's like different, It's like Game of Thrones was the same thing,
Why I touch on it is, it felt it's funny to say in the same sentence that you were on that show on the movie as a consultant to help make sure that what was being shown was appropriate and treated with respect. No, like that's kind of what you had a hand in that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Being mindful.
Sure, and it all started with the controversy of Disney trying to trademark the term Dia de los Muertos. And that's how I got involved, by making them, the whole community got upset, and Disney retracted their trademark application because of the uproar, and they really stepped in it. I mean, they really messed up. But and it was acknowledged later that it was a screw up. I drew the cartoon Muerto Mouse against that thing happening. So then my friend was a consultant. She's a consultant on Disney shows. She called me and said they want to talk to you and see if you want to come on the team. And I was like very cynical about it, but I was telling somebody it was less of them trying to co-opt me and more of, if you can't beat them, join them, kind of thing.
Okay.
Like, because eventually they did. I mean, we had a team of 3 Chicano consultants, each different specialties. One had a lot of musical knowledge. Octavio, that was Marcelo Davison Aviles from Tucson, and then Octavio Solis from the Bay Area. He's a playwright, like one of our top Chicano playwrights. And then myself, I know what audiences like and how the Latino audience reacts to things.
You can kind of catch the bullshit, kind of like that when someone looks at it and goes, like I smell something funny, kind of thing. They wanted to use have the abuela hit everyone with a wooden spoon, and we're like, chancla, I mean, no one's more bored of chancla jokes than I am, but that's like reality, and it's a thing, and the audience loved it. They instead of checking out and going, which is what I do if I see a movie and it's like fake, it's some cultural thing is wrong. It just takes me out of the movie, right? Yeah.
And so the audience, you buy in when you see it's like authentic.
Yeah, you even saw the chancla with the Infinity Stones on later on. So cross pollination.
Yeah. So we were so Pixar really opened up and let us bring in people from the community, people like Luis Valdez and like real luminary people to come give their 2 cents about the film. I mean, we had like about over 24 community people from around the country, very accomplished people, come in and also give notes, and we gave notes on everything ourselves, and it turned out all right.
I
the
mean,
movie.
I want to compliment you and the team, of course, everyone you mentioned that helped you, because I have a feeling that if you guys had the uproar wasn't done, and if Disney didn't budge or Pixar didn't budge, we'd have a very different telling of that story. Like it'd be, I feel like it would have a very, like como dice Walter right here, you buy your Dia de los Muertos gear at Winco. Like it's just been like it's like.
Oh yeah.
Coco could have had that happen, and then what happens?
It's even on cacerolas now. Like they have it on like a cacerola underneath where you put the fire. Yeah. Like it has like fucking like the calavera. It's like, and you ask people like, where do you know? Do you know where this comes? Oh, it's from the purepecha from Michoacan and blah blah blah. I don't do those muertos face paint because I don't feel that that's part of my culture. And then you see people like with tattoos and shit. It's like, oh, it's just colorful, whatever.
But I like that you guys went that far, and thank you, because my wife's Mexican, and so she grew up with these traditions, and she grew up in Puebla, like in Mexico, remembering these things, the marigolds, all that. Like we didn't have that. I grew up in LA, Salvadoreños. My families were refugees from the war. Like there's the whole different traditions for me, right? Sure. But my son saw this movie and had questions, and he's like, well, what is that? Now I'm interested. Like, can you talk about it? Like, and same thing goes for, which I'm guessing hopefully you can get into it, how you transition into Los Casagrandes, that cartoon animated series you're on, because he started watching it and he's like, this is fun, this is good. And I go, and because he started seeing like the animation was fun, and the jokes were funny, and he can relate to some of the things, because the reality is, you mentioned it in the show, the main character grows up in a multi-generational household, and their best friends are pretty much her family, cousins and whatnot. Same thing for him. Yeah. He's an only child, and his friends are his cousins, and he's able to relate to that. So kind of, can you talk about how that happened, how they called upon you guys to kind of start that project? Because that's amazing to have that kind of show on the air.
Yeah, well, sure. I wanted to just put a pin on what, about the cacerolas at Winco or whatever, like my is when people were how Twitter
H-E-B, by the way, it was H-E-B.
H-E-B here in Texas. You can get these at H-E-B on the front.
Oh yeah, I have a shelf full of nothing but Topo Chico right now. It's better than Alka-Seltzer, I'll tell you that.
When the activists were getting at us for even working on the project, they were like talking about the sacredness of Dia de los Muertos and stuff, and I was like, yeah, that's why I'm there. Like the calavera's already out of the bag. Americans already discovered Dia de los Muertos. And
discovered.
They Columbus did already. It's already out there. Why not correct that and show what it's really like? And so some, I mean, all those haters that I had that were trying to put me down for that, they're quiet. They probably own 3 copies of Coco now.
Oh yeah.
Coco stamp,
I will tell you, but I will give you an example of kind of the my baby mama. She pretty much, when she was going to UT, she was going here to UT to get her master's. I don't know. I shouldn't have said her name, but oh well. She was getting her master's at UT. They had, I guess they used to have like gatherings where they were like, we're gonna have like a happy hour, right? Because master students tend to get together with professors or stuff like that. And one of them set up an event, and one of them set up the event, and she called it Halloween / Dio de los Muertos. And she even spelled it wrong. Dio de los Muertos.
Was there a flyer?
Dio de los Muertos. And she did I guess a flyer, an invitation, and then they kind of raised her voice, and it's like, what do you mean? Like, what are you combining? Because she's from Michoacan actually, so she kind of got mad about that, and I told her, hey, well, raise your voice, say something, and she did it, and she brought it up, and then I guess faculty or whatever came back and said, oh, actually, we're not involved with that. We're not providing any. They were providing cookies or something like that, so they even pulled that out. And then the girl that was doing it, she was like a white woman. She said, okay, actually, I'm going to have it at my house anyway. So if you want to come to my house, I'm having a Halloween / Dio de los Muertos, whatever. And it's like, so yeah, it's like that frustration, and it's not even my frustration because I didn't grow up with it, but I could feel it from other people, and it's like this is ridiculous. It feels ridiculous, and then to counteract, I want to give her credit for we at our house, she ended up having an event herself, and we set up an altar, and she had people over from different ethnicities, like Chinese, Asian, India, whatever, like. And people came over, brought pictures, set them up on the altar, and she kind of educated them on what it meant, what Dia de los Muertos meant. So when we saw the movie, she appreciated, she cried, her mom cried, they're from Michoacan, and it's like, good shit, man. So to me, that was the stamp of approval, kind of like.
Oh, well, that's nice.
There was good material,
I talked to the head of movie marketing, movie distribution for Disney, for China, right?
Okay.
And I met him at Pixar, and he was like, he took me aside. He goes, he lives in Shanghai. He goes, you've not lived until you've been in a movie theater with watching Coco with a bunch of sobbing Chinese people. He goes, everybody was crying, and it didn't matter, because I'm getting chills telling that story. Because
and I agree with you.
It's all about representing correctly what it is, and people appreciate that.
No, and the one thing I've noticed, because where I work at the firm where I work, it's owned, and the owners are Chinese, and I work with a lot of Chinese engineers and stuff, and I have a lot more in common with people from China than I do with white people, and in that respect, because they're like they cook this, like in terms of the food and how they haggle for everything, and how they like. So then I kind of get what you're meaning there. I can kind of feel that. I can understand that, because we have a lot more in common than we do.
But you guys, Lalo, you guys covered it on your show. I mean, you helped write Casa Grande. Like, you guys covered Dia de los Muertos there. And
yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit, since we're kind of on the same
Casa
thing?
Grande is a show I work on Nickelodeon. It's a spin-off from a show called The Loud House, and these are animated shows. The show is about a young girl that moves in. Her mom, brother, and herself move from the suburbs to the big city to be with the family, and the big extended Mexican-American family. And they live in an apartment building with all kinds of different ethnicities. I introduced a Central American family, Salvadoran family.
Nice.
The Flores family, and they I think it's a first in animation,
I agree, man.
Thank you. So far, the only stuff I've seen is like, la que cuido, la que limpia. Oh, she's from El Salvador, and some very obscure movie, or some Guatemalteco, and some, what's that one movie with Robin Williams where they have like a gay guy that is from Guatemala, I forget.
Oh, the Birdcage.
And it's like, I actually work with that guy
Hank
on a show called Border Town.
That's also yours, yeah.
Hank Azaria. It's on The Simpsons.
Yep.
And
he does Apu. He does Apu.
Oh, did Apu. He did Apu.
Rest in peace. The only diversity had to get killed, right? Rest in peace, like.
No, but
And then they're like, I'm 10th generation Spanish Basque.
What? No,
anyway.
But yeah, you're saying, so the show kind of like, you touched on that. And I want to, my son was really excited. I told him, I'm going to be talking to Lalo. And he helped, write, on the show. And he was like, wow, really? He's like, that's cool, because he can identify with some of the topics, and he really enjoyed it. The only sucky part is that we don't have cable, because we pour down here. So he's like, he has to catch him when he can, online, pero that he loves it. And I really wanted to touch base, because my wife too, she gets upset because she doesn't see anything Latino positive for kids that's animated. My kid loves Gravity Falls and all the old cartoons too. He's watching random things here and there, but no Latinos, And
Yeah.
so what you guys are doing is amazing. I really, really appreciate that, especially from
Except for what Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty. I
Oh
don't
man, he's
even know.
Latino.
That's the only
It's true. But
dope ass guy,
Yeah,
but still.
yeah, you got Latino overload on overdose on the Casa Grandes, which is how it should be, you know. And yeah, the show represents, you know, has immigrants in that family, has first generation, second generation, you know, has you know, little kids, teenagers, adults, has professionals, doctors, you know, nurse, you know, so we try to, it's you know, positive and funny. You know, we can't handle, we can't tackle super touchy subjects. It's a show for
Yeah.
6 to 11
Yeah.
year old.
But you know what's great?
But we
on
can
that?
push the
Yeah, you don't underestimate the kids watching. You don't
Yeah.
underestimate their intelligence, and you don't underestimate their sensitivity to it.
Yeah.
Because topics you brought up were great, and my son even said, he goes, "Oh, her dad's a doctor. Cool. Like, you know, you have a Latino family that are professionals, like you said, and they have other
Yeah.
work too. But you think about it, the parents are a doctor and a nurse, you know, that works
Yeah.
very hard, loves their family, and then you have the family owns a store. You know, like it's not your atypical Latino that's just the gardener, you know,
Yeah.
or the guy that fixes the car. Like you have someone that has a lot more depth. So I appreciate what you guys are doing and your whole team there. It's awesome. Really is really
Oh,
cool.
well, thank you. You know, we fought for I fought for the dad to be a doctor. He's played by Eugenio Derbez,
Yeah.
Yep.
a famous comedian, and he's great in it. He's you know, initially I was like, oh, he's got to be.
I remember that from the rest.
So I pushed for him. I wanted him to be a Mexican American or Chicano doctor, but we got Eugenio Derbez. So, okay, he's an immigrant, you know, from Mexico who came here to go to med school, and he did good, you know. And what's wrong with that? Nothing wrong with that.
Positivity,
So
man.
we try to write jokes that you know, it's for co-viewing, you know, for the parents to watch too and get some jokes and to recognize the cultural elements and be like, you know, get that good feeling like, wow, you know, I never saw that on TV before, and you know, well, I recognize that, and you know, it shouldn't be so rare, you know, but we're still working on it. We're still trying.
You know, and I wanted to touch on, you know, what's going on right now. You know, you still do your drawings on a regular basis. We follow you. We post your stuff. We repost your stuff. And you mentioned earlier, you know, the more we get your stuff out there, the better. Not only for that, but your messages make an impact, man. They really do. With an image, you say 1,000 words, right? And I wanted to ask this of you because with what's going on right now, and we don't have to dig deep, but still, has there ever been a subject?
Yeah, we do.
The subject that we're gonna get in there, but has there ever been a subject that you look at and go, "Oh shit, I'm not gonna comment on that one," or are you like the opposite, like, "Oh shit, I can't wait to draw something about this"?
Well, you know, funny you should say that, because I think now that, I mean, there's never really been a topic that I can't talk about. It usually would depend on the newspapers or where, you know, be published. So in my comic strip, you know, I do the daily comic strip too, and there's, you know, not really going to talk about sex and graphic things, violence in that, because it's a daily newspaper. The little kids do read it, so there's a certain level of stuff that you got to dance around, you know. So I don't talk about some of that stuff, but not as, you know, I'm afraid of any topic, you know. So I try to do my best to cover everything, but my focus is, you know, immigrant rights and being anti-racist, and you know, being pro-feminist, and you know, not being a dick, you know, like
Yeah, that's the best.
don't be an asshole.
Yeah,
You know?
seriously, man. What's happening right now with George
Fair.
Floyd and the protest? You know, like, you're in LA, right? In San Diego, or you're in LA proper?
I'm in LA.
So Santa Monica got shut down, right? Recently, like today, like there was a curfew now.
Right.
Like everything's going crazy in Dallas. We have protests. We got a curfew now. It's happening all over the place. I mean, What are your thoughts, man? I mean, what can you share? I mean, like you said, you've lived long enough. You start seeing things repeat themselves and change. And
I'm gonna tell you something. Like I remember, I don't know, Stanley, if you remember, mi tío Saúl showing up with the frozen dinners when the riots happened in LA.
I don't
Like one of
remember
our
that.
tios showed up.
92
One
Rodney
of
King
our tios
riots.
showed up like this with frozen dinners because they burned down the
I think the
supermarket down the street.
statute of limitations on that has run out. So,
Yeah, we can. Don't worry about it. Okay, cool. But I
I
mean,
would
it's
just say, we've been here before. I've been here
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I was out on the streets during the LA riots. We went to go protest Parker Center at the LAPD headquarters, and we got our asses shoved down by cops. And they, as they protected the station, they roughed us up, and we went on to keep protesting, marched, and then shit got crazy, and then we're like, okay, maybe it's time to go home, and then it really got crazy over the few weeks, and so, I mean, much less so then than now. I back then there was zero outside agitators or provocateurs. Whatever.
Yeah.
It was 100%. The community was frustrated, and it erupted. And whether they got some frozen dinners or not, or a big TV, that's like extraneous. I mean, they definitely, it was real anger. And you know what? I think the outside people today, it's not that many. There's not that many outside people. There's some knuckleheads starting shit, and then there are people looting, because of the frozen dinners or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's real. You could feel the frustration, man. I mean, it's everything's coming to a head. It's like the frustration over income inequality. The racist attacks on people. I mean, it can't keep going like this.
Well, I mean, you're at this point, like you mentioned it earlier, and I want to bring it up because me and my wife had a conversation today. We're walking around in the morning walk, and she's like, what's going to happen next? At this point, in the last 2 weeks, we've had, the murder. We've had the woman call the police in the park with their dog, like faking an attack on the black guy in the park. It could have led to a murder, Yeah. Then you have, it's just the COVID stuff going on, and then you still have like all this stuff hand in hand, like, and the looting. And she asked me, "What do you think is gonna happen? What do you think is gonna happen?" And my answer to her was like, "Too many times have we've been here too many times, and something extreme has to happen, so that we can wake up the other side of it to perpetuate change. I mean, it has to." I'm not a guy that's out there on the streets knocking people down. If I could, in some way support it from home, right? Donate a couple bucks here and there to some funds. But what do you think? I mean, at this stage, 2020, for God's sakes, like, what is gonna happen?
Yeah, I've in terms of, for me, when I was talking about the Trump presidency, because I'm a cartoonist and a political cartoonist, I am soaked in this stuff 24/7.
Yeah.
Not like everybody's not as neck deep in it as I am, and you're people like that are lucky. It'll drive you crazy. But I felt like the physics of this, it cannot stand. I mean, it was, and then I thought the breaking point was all the COVID, coming and breaking this presidency and breaking this like grip on people that it has, and I felt like the planet was coming. I'm not a metaphysical dude, but it was like the planet was just like, yeah, that's it, boom.
Ya basta.
Yeah. Because it was like, how far can this go? And then boom, life is, is good at coming at you from another direction when you don't see it. And look what happened. I mean, it all converged. So, I'm not trying to be super pessimistic,
No.
but I think we're probably due for another. That I agree with you. There's another big break, or I don't know what you call it, an explosion, something.
Yeah, man, another fucking big bang, another explosion, another, I don't know, something is gonna happen. It's like the fucking, they're shaking the Topo Chico bottle so much that thing, yeah, there you go. That thing is gonna fucking burst, and it's a trip because now we're trapped at home because of a curfew, and my mom tells me, she goes, "Damn, I remember being stuck at home because of the war, and now we're stuck at home because of COVID and because of rioters. Like, this is good. I don't know."
Yeah, but there's a big difference there too. There were the what's his name from Five Meats, the comedy that Five Meat, the guys from Five Meats, he posted
Hector?
something earlier. That no, it's Ezequiel, I think, Rolando actually.
Oh, Rolando,
He posted something, and it makes sense. It's like you have at least here in Texas, 'cause I'm right here at the Capitol, like a few weeks ago, you have motherfuckers, white people with all armed to the teeth, with masks and everything, protesting at the fucking Capitol because they can't get fucking haircuts, And then now you have people of color protesting because people are getting murdered by cops. It's like a big difference. Like I said, el pelo lo tengo largo, and I'm not worried about going and cutting my hair. But then like you see the priorities. Like the set of priorities going on.
but
It's
es de
like
ridiculous, man. I think it.
Did you see? I'm sorry, but did you see that photo of the people in New York? There's a Black Lives Matter protest, and then there's all these white people having brunch, and they're like, brunch lives matter, like was the caption. Like, two different priorities,
Yeah. And isn't it kind of, it's bullshit when you look at the signs where they're like, oh, my body, my choice. Really? For the mask? That's your argument? But when women are standing in the streets for their real choice, you're like, no? Really?
Yeah.
It's topsy-turvy, man. Like, I look at it and I go, nah, this is a fucking Black Mirror episode. Like, what the fuck? Like,
yep, it feels like it.
This can't be happening. But then you're like, damn, it's happening. It's like you said, I don't know if you mentioned it, but like how many drive-by graduations, drive-by wellness visits, drive-by just checking on people because you can't really do anything anymore. It's a trip.
Yeah, it's a trip, and like my workplace is. I don't know if I could talk about it, but I think we're pretty much going to be working at home for the time being. And as a cartoonist, this is how I lived for 30 years. So no social interaction, not going out,
so that's
eating a bunch of extra food.
That's the keys to success. Stuck at home, don't talk to nobody, and eat junk food.
Do your work.
There you go. Do your work, right? Do your work. That's the way to be successful. But I mean, it's a trip. It's scary. I don't know. It's fucking crazy.
I don't know where we're headed to, but I mean, I feel like we have to talk to each other, and we have to keep the lines communication open, and we have to meet people. Like,
organize.
Way. It's good to know that you guys go out there. And we're all the cliche. We're all in this together. But we have to support each other. And like I said about my cartoons, sharing is caring, right?
Yeah, man. Like I put your stuff out there, and I love it. I dig it. Some of those images just pop. Like we had the whole white spaces, and that was a thing for us. I love that interaction. And I don't know how you feel about this, man, but it always in the back of my mind tripped me out when we went to that first I think it was the second Latino Comic Con in Texas where we met you, and I was like, my cousin will tell you, I sat there and go, oh shit, like that's Lalo, dude, like that's a big deal. And he was sitting at the table.
I'm like, yes, güey, ¿qué?
No, dude, like, not only that, but he was sitting like, if anybody knows, he was sitting like across from Hector Cantu. Like, I'm like, oh shit, like you have no fucking clue who these dudes are. And they're just chilling at a table, like, Lalo, I swear to God, you're falling asleep in the chair. And when we were like, I'm all like, nobody's making a big deal,
Yeah.
And it sucks.
That was around the time of Coco, because he said Coco. And I'm like, what?
Like, yeah, up to Coco, it's and that. But what I'm getting to is, do you think that with what you're doing, with your projects and what other creative artists in our generation and even before are trying to push is to where when we get to that point and your name is dropped, they're like, oh shit, yeah, that's him. Like people can see that recognition because you're doing something, but because we haven't had the real shot, is that why you don't see that enthusiasm in the Latino community yet?
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I'm not saying you should be mobbed in the streets like, oh my god, but what I'm getting at is you recognize well, yeah, definitely, but you want to recognize that within the community, oh, I have to keep reminding my son, oh, you know what, that he's Latino, or he's a Latino writer, oh, he's a Latino artist, or he's Latino, because just to keep that in his head, so when he hears the names, he knows who it is, to give proper knowledge and representation. So do you think the Latino community is just still lacking that, or are we slowly just getting in there, like, so we can get that recognition that you need, not need, but you deserve it, dude? Like, if I don't give it here on this phone call, but you definitely, even your peers, Javier, Hector, these guys love you to death, man. They give you tons of props for what you do.
Well, I appreciate those guys, but yeah, I mean, I wish people were more into comics. Of course, I wish newspapers were back to levels of yesterday, but with newspapers, but I feel like I get acknowledgement, and when I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but when I was a Pulitzer finalist a few weeks ago, I won. It was like people are still asking me, when do they decide? I'm like, no, Pulitzer finalist means I didn't win, but it's an honor. Like the guy already. But it felt the outpouring from the community was so big that I felt like I won 10 Pulitzers, because everybody was like, "Oh my God, you got a finalist," and so it was. I kind of felt like I think I hit a new level here,
Yeah, but I'll be honest. Like, I know that Europe you were the runner-up or whatever, but I don't know who the hell won it. So like
to us, you're the winner. There you go. So, to us,
so you're the winner in my book. Like I know that you were, but I don't know who won it. So okay, whatever. So.
That's the thing. Knowing your audience loves you.
Sounds like I won the Primo Pulitzer.
The Primo Pulitzer, man. We need to have a cool T-shirt made up for you there, Lalo. But we're winding down here to end the show. I appreciate you really making the time today. I really appreciate it, man.
Before we go out on the goodbyes, may I bring up one thing?
Of course.
I'd like to say that it is super important that Mexican Americans, Chicanos, have solidarity with Central American people, Salvadorans, Guatemalans, everybody. And I find like this recent trend of like it might just be one of those college student things where they hate on Mexicans and Chicanos a lot, and I find it like it's kind of going backwards, and I don't know where this comes from. I've been lectured online about I can't draw cartoons about the kids in the cages, because
Why?
I'm Mexican, I'm not Central American, I should shut up. And I'm like, that shit doesn't make any sense, because I'm trying to support those kids, and I don't care that they're from Central America, or Mexico. I don't care where they're from. If they're from Kenya and they're getting locked up in cages, man, those are kids, those are our kids, and so it's hopefully it's a trend that will go away, because I've always been, down for Central American. I mean, when I started drawing cartoons, it was in the 80s. I mean, it was during all the wars in Central America caused by Reagan and the U.S.
Kissinger. Don't forget Kissinger. All the fucking piece of shit,
man. Fuck,
Listen, man, I was trying to let you leave, but here we go. So, like, here's the thing. Like, I'm 100% with you.
No, it's a good topic.
It's a good topic. Listen, here's the thing. It was a topic is bouncing around on Twitter right now. You're probably seeing it, Lalo, where it's like the light-skinned Latinx and the dark-skinned Latinx. Like, and I'm like, Fuck.
And
What
the
else?
Redskin Latinx.
The Redskin Latinx right there. And
The
Austin.
one, yeah, I'm the Redskin one right there.
Woo! Look at that.
No, but what I'm getting at is you're right. It's like, and I want to piggyback on that is, what other fucking dividing line do you need at this point? Like, what else? It's like the man, which is the white
But I
man, is
will say
coming
this.
in to making us fight each other again.
I will say this though. Is their voice and their concerns should be heard, you know, and taken into account, because if you're gonna go ahead and say something about somebody or something that, you know, if you educate yourself, you do it in a tasteful manner, you know, you don't just fucking start talking shit and assuming that, you know, like, you know, if you kind of do your homework on it, you're using your existing platform to expose, to push something, you know, it's like, oh shit, okay, cool, and then you can start introducing or bringing in other voices in, and through your involvement or other people's involvement, or because you expose somebody else because of your content, they turn around and say, oh shit, you know, Salvadoreños or Centroamericanos or somebody else, you know what I mean? Like if done tastefully and there's a valid, because you don't want to get swallowed by that whole, like I said, I had a coworker that asked me, like I said before, where in Mexico is El Salvador, you know, so it's like, the fuck you mean we're in Mexico, El Salvador? You know, so then you educate her and be like, oh shit, I didn't know. To me, everything from outside of the border was Mexico. Well, no, it isn't.
Solidarity,
you know?
though, right? Like you're saying, like that's the thing. I see that topic come up, and it becomes another thing in my head, and I go, fuck, another dividing line, because and I don't know, I had the experience. I don't know about you, but me, I've had the experience where it's like, oh, you're not Salvadoreño, and I go, why not? You don't look it.
Even within, because you're not Salvadoreño.
You're not Salvadoreño.
You know,
like, what do you mean? Like, you don't look it. What Salvadoreño look like? Oh, they look skinny and dark, and they talk really fast, and their Spanish is very vulgar. And I go like, my family is 100% from El Salvador. What difference does it make?
My mama was, and my daddy was.
If I am, or if I'm not Latino enough, you know, if I'm not Latino enough, like that kind of conversation bothers me. From episode 1, 2.5 years ago, when we had this show started, it was like, you know, we acclimated the Latino microcosm, or becoming more than that now, culture, as a mosh pit, you know, a social mosh pit where everyone's muscling in for space. You know, everybody's trying to get into space, but instead of knocking each other down, you're supposed to pick each other up and move forward in that pit, right? And
which is a good metaphor, you know, you help each other out when you fall, you know. So.
Yeah, you're supposed to pick each other up and keep fighting that fight. But like you said, more and more, it's like, how many more pieces of the string cheese can you pull apart in this shit? Like, come on, we gotta be together, no?
Yeah, and it's like all about timing too. Like, and again, maybe because I'm soaked in political activism a lot, but like, you know, there was like just yesterday, arguing. I don't know where this person was from, but I posted that photo. You've seen it of protesters in Atlanta at CNN with the big CNN logo, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
tagged it up or whatever. And there's people on top of the logo. One guy with a Black Lives Matter banner. Yeah. And the next to him is the guy with a Mexican flag as a king kind of thing, right? And I was like, all right, solidarity, right?
Yeah.
Well, this person wanted to pull the string cheese on that and say, you know, the Mexican settler state colonial flag represents so many racist things. I'm like, that kid's not thinking about that. That's not relevant. That's so, you know, no, I mean, we can't support black if we don't acknowledge it. I'm like, I'm happy to see a kid from Georgia, because everyone under 40 is a kid to me, right? So I'm happy to see a kid from Georgia with a Mexican flag showing love for Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
That's what that image is, and that's it. But no, we have to divide it and be like, no, this is a bad thing. And it's like, no, this is a wrong-headed way of thinking.
Because even like if you go to that point, it's like, did you know Fanta was for the Nazis? You know, like that type of cause it was, but you know what? Like you have to like
I own the VW Bug, man. That was Hitlermobile, you know, like.
It's like I like the metaphor of the cheese, because it's like, you're right, you're completely right, and like I always say, like, if you don't know Spanish, that's cool, don't worry about it. It's the colonial language anyways, you know, like, you know, but don't make a big deal out of it too, you know, as what information it's good to know that, but there's a time and place to really.
Yes, exactly.
If anything, there should be more unity, right? Like so.
Let's have the discussion when when we have Black Lives Matter going on now. There's murder of this man. Let's focus on this. Let's not worry about the other shit going on right now.
I imagine it's like, remember Dave Chappelle when it's like when keeping it real goes wrong, like he goes like, you know what? There's a time when that now he's unemployed. Now he's like, he can't pay his bills, and it's like so.
Oh, but he kept it real.
So yeah, you gotta. Yeah, but he kept it real.
But
so
it is like you
gotta
said.
pick your battles.
It's no longer. It's easier to shout a bunch of shit online. You hide behind the anonymity of the Twitter feed, and you hide behind that, and you have your digital soapbox of what you want to say, and you can hide and scurry away into the darkness. Nobody sees you again. But all you've done is poison people, and then that poison spreads, and here we are again a year later. Now we're having
and then
colorism
and then it
arguments.
makes people. Yeah, because and then at that extent, like if someone, you did a comic or whatever based on kids in the cage, and then somebody shoots that at you, and it's like, okay, next time you want to use your voice to point the fucking cursor at an issue, you're gonna be like, should I do it? Should I not do it? That's not healthy either. That's not healthy either. So.
But you're over that, no? Like, you do you, right? I mean, you give me that vibe.
I'm a knucklehead. I don't give a shit,
but
it does bug me, and it makes me feel sad that, I don't know who's teaching them, and are they learning this in college or, I don't understand. I hate feeling like, get off my lawn, but I mean, it's disheartening a bit, but I hope that we can
unite
roll that shit up and roll over it,
Yeah, like get over it. Let's move past because it really is. Yes, like Walter says, it's a conversation for another time. Right?
Yeah.
Let's focus on the things that matter. If you're gonna focus on the kids, man, thank you. That image is fucking awesome. The image it plastered me like, oh shit, like you said everything I was thinking. You know what I mean? That's what we need. And so people like you doing the work, people that are really aware of what your message truly is, appreciates it. So definitely take it from someone from El Salvador. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Definitely.
Yeah, cool.
Definitely. Lalo, I mean, I want to thank you, man. I've kept you longer than I promised. But thank you so much for coming on the show.
It was so good, right? It's so good.
It was fun, man. Next time.
Bonus, mega, extra good.
Extra large Topo Chico for you guys listening to the show. But anytime you wanna come back, Lalo, please feel free, man. Anytime. We love having you on here, dude.
Of course I would. Just let me know.
If there's anything you want to say before we go, man, to anybody out there listening, we still have fans that are creators themselves. We always ask, what's something you can give them, a piece of quick advice? Anything?
If you are this works for cartoonists, and I think for writers too. Like if you want to be a cartoonist, young people would come up and say, I want to be a cartoonist, and I would be like, don't. And then if they said, I want to be a cartoonist, I'm like, all right, you're going to be a cartoonist, because cartoonists don't give up, writers don't give up, artists don't give up. Because you're meant to do it, And it might be because I'm not good at anything else, but I wanted to keep doing this till I drop dead. So I think that's the key to success in anything, is just, don't stop. Don't stop. Just do it.
Like it, man. Thank you, Lalo. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. That's the end of the show. Thank you, man. You have a great one. Talk to you soon, man. Thank you again.
Stay safe. Don't go riot.
Don't go riot.
No, we're not. It's called a rebellion, so.
Okay. A little bit.
Hey.
Take care, Lalo. Thanks again, brother. Peace out.
Hey. Ooh la la, ah wee wee. Ooh la la, ah wee wee. Hey. Ooh la la, ah wee wee. Hey. Ooh la la, ah wee wee. 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 Ooh la la. Look
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode.
Dope, 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 dope. I liked it.
I had a blast. I want to thank Lalo, of course, for just trusting us to have a real conversation, and
yeah, that was very, that was my takeaway from it. If I can kind of, because it's like he comes from you think about it like he has more, I guess, experience. I don't know, like he has a track record, and you kind of like, okay, you kind of have to approach this person a certain way. But I didn't feel like that. It's kind of just a dope conversation, really. So
it was great. It let me talk to another guy that I really admired for his work. His political cartoons. I love his voice online. You can follow him online at laloalcaraz.com. We always repost his stuff as well through our social media, which is at My Primos Podcast. Hope you guys enjoy this. Take the message, like you said at the end, solidarity. Let's all go together towards a better day.
I mean, voices should be heard and need to be heard. But, going off of that same message, it's like we're multifaceted in many ways. There's different issues, many, 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 many layers. And obviously there's room and time to tackle everything at the same time, to be honest, we're not a one-trick pony that we can just do one thing at one time, but at the same time, at the end of the day, let's come together rather than, split apart even more and more and more. Like you were talking about the whole string cheese metaphor, splitting cheese, which is okay, man. Everybody, has a voice and it should be heard, like that's why we're here, right? Because I bet him chingados, who's listening, right? Whatever, right? But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, let's come together rather than kind of like, it's like when you get in a fight with your brother, or whatever, and then you kind of mad, but then at the end of the day, like, I love you, whatever,
remember, we're all primos
sit at the table and go
remember,
eat, right?
That was the whole line of the show. We're all primos from different parts of the world. We're all Latinos. We're all Latinx. We're all family. We're all primos here. So let's support each other. Let's hear each other out. And till next time, primos. Adios.
Cool. Out.